Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight.
Down, it's going down. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is Wisdom Wednesday. Wisdom Wednesday. I'm so excited to be with you guys. This is your host today, Gloria Mayfield Banks. I got this huge smile on my face, because that song just gets me rocking. I don't know, just like the Jetsons had a song and the Brady Bunch had a song. I know I'm taking y'all way back,
The Jetsons.
The Flintstones had a song. We used to hear those, right? What else did we hear? We heard, oh my God, we heard something.
The Jeffersons.
George Jefferson. That's what I was going to say.
George
Jefferson. See him walking.
What'd you say?
Good
times. All in the family.
Yeah.
Brady Bunch. Way back. Brady Bunch. When we used to hear those songs, we get so excited. It didn't matter what Gilligan's Island. It didn't matter what happened on the episode. We just like the music. We sit down and wait for the show to be over and the music. And that's how I feel every time I hear our song come on. It's going down. Where my girls at? Well, here we are, and we're so glad to be with you guys. We had such a great time so far this week, and we know the rest of this week is going to be awesome. So we want you to participate with us. We always want you to participate with us. This is 9:10 AM, the Superstation out of Detroit, WFDF, and we got issues, and you got issues. And anybody tries to tell you that they don't have issues, lie about a whole lot of other things as well. That's just the bottom line. We all got them. Everybody got them. And when you're this kind of community like we are, we hear about everybody's issues. So we're excited to talk to you about it. This is the force of friendship, and we come together because we want to be an example for what friendship looks like, what friendship benefits you with. 30 years of friendship over and over and over. Now, if you've been together for 30 years, there's some ups, some downs, some ins, some outs, but we stayed the course, and here we are. So we're so excited to be with you today. So we ask you to participate and make this one of your best hours. Just lean in with us and enjoy the conversations. We're going to talk about a lot of things, a lot of news, and the art of encouragement. Are you encouraging? Or are you enabling? Oh my gosh, some of the facts that you're going to hear about, the true facts that you're going to hear about the art of encouragement definitely will come through this evening. So we're excited to be here. Chris, what is going on in Detroit? You look beautiful in blue. What's going on out there in the D?
Well, it is hot. When I tell you we are well over 90 degrees, and literally the official start of summer hasn't even started yet. So literally the air condition is on. And matter of fact, Kiara was going to go to an exercise class today that was supposed to be outside. They had to cancel it because it's just way too hot to exert that kind of energy outside. So, I love summer. It's my favorite season. I love that it's hot. So I am not going to complain, although I know that all over the country, I was watching the news yesterday and they were just saying it is a heat wave, unprecedented. I mean, breaking records all over the country, even in Europe. So, we always go back to climate change is not a hoax. It is absolutely real. So, so that's going on. And, just excited. Yesterday's show was amazing. We had the judge was in the house, Judge Greg Mathis, and his story is never old. You know, I knew some of his story, but he gave some more details on yesterday that I did not know of. And then, of course, this Sunday, giving a shout out to the show, Mathis Family Matters. It airs this Sunday on E! So we hope that our radio listeners and viewing audience will check it out. So we're excited about,
we're not going to move off that topic yet. We're not going to move off that topic yet. I want to hear from the girlfriends in terms of what did they like the most from the show yesterday, because we know that he's a friend. And Chris, then I'm gonna come back to you and you're gonna tell us how did that happen? Because he's like, he doesn't want us to say it, but he's a celebrity. Okay, he's a big dang on celebrity.
Right.
So now that he's not on the show, we can talk about the fact that he is a celebrity to us. So who else wants to pipe in and love to introduce yourself and tell them what you loved about the show?
I will, Gloria. And thank you so much to our Facebook listener, Lori, who asked how I'm doing. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm feeling great. But the show yesterday was amazing. I mean, Chris, I hope that we can definitely have the judge back his story. I mean, I'm not a native Detroiter. I didn't know his story, and his story is, did I say that right? Is that Detroiter? What is it? Native of Detroit?
Yeah.
Did I say it right? You laugh. I was like, uh-oh. I don't know. You know how people like San Francisco people don't like when you say San Fran, but everybody else does, or Cali. So, but his story was just down to earth. You know, I know people say that about celebrities. That's how we felt when we met Magic Johnson, but he was the real deal. He was the real deal. I was impressed, Chris. We didn't get to talk about it, but I was impressed about him talking at Aretha's service, right? Just and how hearing about that, and how one of the last conversations he had with Aretha was she was challenging him to go do the work in Flint. And so I loved how he talked about where he came from and his activism. He was the real deal, using his platform for good. So we need more people like that.
Yes. Oh my God. So good. So good.
Loved it. Oh my goodness. You know, I've just always admired him from afar, being a fan of his show. I love his humor. I love his, like he said, his superpower is being relatable. And I mean, yesterday with us, it was like we had known him forever. He was very comfortable. Yeah. And so I love that. And I loved hearing about his family. We all, like he said, there are no perfect people. We all got issues. No matter how you clean us up, come on, y'all. Families are many different threads in that fabric. And but he has such a positive, wise outlook, an overcomer. Everything, overcome it. So, I mean, I was inspired, highly motivated and inspired after having him on the show yesterday, for sure.
Yeah, that was big. I loved his standard of excellence. He said, if it goes negative, I'm off the air, period. And I really appreciate that, because it makes everybody lean in. And I can't wait to see something different, something that's the same, something that's very successful, and somebody who's got enough power going into the show, coming off of a very strong show. You know, he can demand what he wants, and that's something to be said for someone who stays the course, such an overcomer, and create that. But Chris, how did it come about? Like, what is that relationship?
Well, you know what? Judge Mathis has been a great friend of the Ellis family for a long time. You know, by him being in Detroit, and when my father-in-law was living, you know, the Ellis family have always been heavily involved in politics and the community service. So because of that, you know, we've known Judge Mathis for a very long time. He's a very good friend of Greater Grace Temple, you know, my church, and anything that we've ever done, whether it is, you know, giving away coats or bikes, he's always been there to support. So he literally is that person that you can go to, that as long as he knows that you're doing it for the community and he can see how it is blessing the community, he is absolutely there. But we had, and you guys talked about it a little bit several weeks ago, we had a big event for all of those who attended Detroit Public Schools, and it was a whirlwind weekend starting Thursday and ending Sunday night. And it ended with this big gala downtown Detroit at the Huntington Bank Convention Center. and everybody was dressed to the nines, and they gave a lot of recognition for individuals who had did amazing things that graduated and came out of Detroit Public Schools. And I looked up, and I didn't know he was going to be there, but he was there, and everybody was so excited to see him. And it's so good when you see somebody of that status where everybody is running up, and you don't have all these bodyguards. No, you can't take a picture. I mean, literally, he was really going up to people, tapping them on the shoulder. He saw me, he came down, hey girl, and started talking to me, and we got a picture. And then I was sitting there, he had walked out, and I said, are you for real right about now? If you don't get up, go out there and ask him to be on We Got Issues. So I went outside and I told him, about the show. And he's like, yeah, call me up. I'll make it happen. And it was easy as that. I text him. We came up with a date. And so he is literally a person of his word. It wasn't hard. I didn't have to go through 10 people to get to him.
Right.
He literally texted me and said, yep, I'm good to go. So
the power of the ass, the power of the ass, the power of the ass. Somebody said on Facebook, Lady Crisette knows people. She said, Lady Crisette knows people. I love her. She has introduced us to a lot of phenomenal people. So we thank you, Lady Crisette Ellis. That's so much fun. Okay, so it's hot in Detroit at 98 degrees. It's hot all over the world, but it's really hot in California. Caterina, what is going on out there in California? It is hot out there, and tell us what's happening.
Well, unfortunately, there's so many stories, you start losing track. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, about maybe 3 exits, maybe it's about 6 or 7 exits from my house. There was fires. They believe it was a homeless camp that has propane, and that started a fire and was about to take out some new houses. And the unfortunate thing is this homeless, so that, you're talking about multiple issues, because I have been to those models. They're beautiful models. And we drove to the end of the models. When you get to the end of the models, you see all of these coyotes are coming down because it's so dry. They are coming down to get water. So I was like watching myself walking through the models. I can only imagine the homeless people up there and how those coyotes, if they have any food or any garbage or whatever. So now they're going to have to move the homeless, because those homeowners, rightfully so, are concerned about people starting fires. Today it's 91 right now, but it's 96 right now. So, that's hot. Normally California, the Bay Area, is normally called June gloom. This is a thing that we grow up with. Anybody in the Bay Area can tell you that not the worst time, because we want you to come visit California, but one of the coolest times to visit California, and I mean cold, like cool. When I say cool, I mean cool like a temperature, is do not come to San Francisco in June, because it's overcast, it's gloomy. That is a California thing. It's an LA thing, June gloom. We are not experiencing June gloom. This is like, we normally have an August, September, October summer. So this temperature in June means it's going to be off the chain in August, September, October. It's just, it's really bad. And the water is just bad. Sacramento is selling their water. They, for whatever reason, have all this extra water, and they are selling it to other parts of California, are bidding to buy water from the Sacramento River. Wow. Because we don't have enough water. Northern California has more water and Southern California has all the people. So, it's just... It was already bad. Y'all know it was bad 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So now you take climate change on top of that. You take gas on top of that. It's just, I know we're going to talk about the economy, but it's all that is wrapped up. And then we have these rolling blackouts because the grid. They talked about the grid in Texas. They're wondering if they can take it. So they have to roll the blackouts. What do you do when it's 100 degrees and your electricity goes out? It's just crazy. It's crazy.
I remember going out to my aunt who lived in California years ago. It's got to be 20 years ago, just to visit. And they couldn't do their, what's that on the
water the lawn?
Sprinkler system. Right. Thank you. They couldn't do the sprinkler system then. And I thought that was the weirdest thing. I was like, what? Because, Detroit, 5 lakes, plenty of water. It was inconceivable. then. So I can't imagine where they are now. And then you add the heat, and I didn't know that it was around the world. I just didn't even think about it being all over the world. So that's pretty, amazing. So it's not affecting you where you are?
I mean, they're not, the heat is not necessarily the fires. Dorothy also brought up in where I am, we all have air conditioning, but in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay area, that's what it like is some of the best weather. It stays around 60 to 70 degrees a good portion of the year. So a lot of those homes don't have air conditioning at all. So if they have multiple days of 85, 90 with no air conditioning, it's a mess. We need to have heating. I'm sure they need them all over the place. What they call them, cooling centers.
Yeah.
So
well, that's a lot. And when we come back, we're going to go to I think her name was Jackie Chain. Who was that woman that was on the newscaster, Sabrina, that you wanted to be like her when you grew up? What was her name?
Connie Chung.
Connie Chung. I'm going to come back to the newscaster, Connie Chung. Sabrina Goodwin one day when we come back right after this break, y'all. We're excited to be here. Oh my God. We are excited. Yes. Welcome back. To We Got Issues. Welcome back to We Got Issues with the force of friendship. And we have a caller. Marathon, are you on the call? How y'all doing? Great, Marathon. How are you?
I'm doing good. I really enjoyed yesterday's show. It's very informative and entertaining.
What did you like the most, Marathon? What did you like?
Well, I like the story. He's a great storyteller. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good job, Marathon. You know what?
the young lady asked the question that I kind of wanted to ask, and I wanted to ask what was the most bizarre situation in court?
Yeah.
You get to ask.
Well, we are excited to always have you there, those and on you, so you can call. There's not the thing calling in today.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, thank you.
Connie Chung. Okay, so y'all, for real. This chick sends us all the news. I don't know how she sees everything that she sees, but she sees it all. Okay, so Sabrina, talk. Tell us a little bit about.
Have you heard the news? Have you heard the news? Have you heard the news? Oh my goodness, you guys. Ex-Atlanta mayor, our girl, Keisha Lance Bottoms, is headed to the White House. Did you hear that? You know,
that's
all
awesome.
I said when President Joe Biden announced on today that the appointment of former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms would be named as a top advisor, filling a key White House role at a politically important time in the run-up to November's elections. I mean, it's just a critical time right now, and especially in the Biden administration, there have been a lot of African Americans who have left his cabinet, and so he knows that it's going to be very important. And when she decided not to run again for Atlanta mayor race, I something must have been cooking. They must have been talking to her. Had to be. Yeah. And you guys remember she was on a short list of a VP candidate at one point,
right?
And so I think she'll do a phenomenal job in this position because she's taken that guy. I can't think of his name. From
Louisiana. And he went to the DNC. Yes. He went to the DNC. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, she's taken his position. And I will tell you that he was Biden's right hand. I mean, anytime he went to a city, we had to go through him first. I mean, anybody who brought Biden in, they would always talk to that guy before Biden hit the city. So she's going to be very, very close. When they say top aide, a top aide. So right now, Biden's approval rate at the low point. So we got work to do.
She stepped in. She stepped in at the bottom, and so she's going from the bottoms to the White House. But she's really stepped into a very challenging place. But she's extremely impressive. That chick is extremely impressive. And they said
I always wonder about the family. Like, you know, she has young children. And it's like, okay, so everybody's going to move to D.C., I guess. I guess that's how that works. I don't know. Interesting. I always wonder what
maybe she travels back and forth.
Yeah.
She's one to watch. And you know what? She's active on social media too. So when you follow her, she's very personable. She talks about how her mother came over and cut her hair and gave her hair and cut it and dyed it. And she talks about her kids, her son. So it's going to be very interesting for her to be that close. You know, what can she say and what can't she say? Because Kamala used to be active on Instagram and then she got elected and that was into that conversation. Totally gone. So that's good. Okay, so one more hot piece of news. Fauci has COVID.
Wow.
Fauci has COVID. So, Caterina, you were reading about that. What did you think about that? How you feel? And the thing you heard about long COVID.
Yes, I was on my favorite news app, TikTok, and I often go and fact check things after I see it there. But I was listening to this medical doctor, and he was saying that a lot of people, someone ended up with COVID, and someone said to that person, well, you ended up getting it anyways after you've been all this time, so how do you feel now that you ended up getting it anyways? And he said, what people don't realize is for those of us that were able to not get it for all this time, it still is, it's the way they were saying it is it's challenging if you get it more than once. So there are many people out there that have had COVID. You don't want to get it again and again and again because your chances of long COVID increase when you get it over and over. So while I wish and I pray my girlfriends, I pray my family, my friends that have not had it, and the listeners that we protect ourselves. But what we don't want to do, even now that I'm feeling great, still a little bit lethargic, but I've got to protect myself and do all the things because I have high antibodies, but you don't want to position yourself to get it again and again because you can. We all know people, right, that have had it two or three times.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't even talk about it until it just comes up. You know, it's like, oh, you
until
had it, I had
they're
it too.
past it. Right. They
Yeah.
talk about it after it's okay. It's
Yeah.
still interesting. Mhm.
So, but Sabrina, you were speculating and saying he was a guest speaker at Princeton. He was
Yeah,
the
but that was a couple of weeks ago, so probably not. But
Okay.
he was the commencement speaker at Princeton, and I'm on that parents page, and so many family members came back sick from Princeton's graduation. So
Wow.
many.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
mm,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the most, you know, Dr. Fauci, that
Dr.
just lets
Fauci.
you know, you know,
Mhm.
it just lets
Yes,
you know.
it's a big deal. Okay, so we're going to go into encouragement, but before we go into encouragement, for real, you know, it takes me a long time to get to my
That's the
topic.
bridge, Gloria.
That's my
We
person.
go from
That's my
COVID
bridge.
to
That's my
encouragement.
bridge.
Gloria, you're supposed
That's
to
my
bridge
bridge.
that thing. Bridge
That's
it.
my bridge.
Bridge it, sister. Okay.
The bridge it to get up and move, because you can't talk about encouragement without the get up and move campaign, right? Sabrina's encouraging Crisette. Chris is encouraging everybody else. Chris, get up and move. Just talk about it a little bit with a little bit of encouragement.
Okay.
Don't ignore Sabrina because she wants to be messy and non-encouraging.
Okay, got it. Well, you guys, we are on day number 15 of Get Up and Move. We're doing it for the entire month of June. And I'm telling you, it feels so good. You know, it says 10 days to create a habit. So the habit is there, and I'm getting up a lot earlier. And I'm going to tell you, I am excited about getting my workout in. And I think it's really, I'm excited because so many people somebody sent me a video today and they were like, they sent it to Kiera and said, send it to your mom because I'm taking the Get Up and Move challenge. And she was at the gym and she was getting it. Yeah. On the treadmill. And I've been checking and people are saying, you know, I've walked even in our chat, they're talking about how many miles they walked and how many steps they got in. So I'm just excited, you know, that we are encouraging people to get up and move because we know our health is our wealth. And, you know, get an accountability partner. You know, Sabrina has beat me a couple of times getting hers in early. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get that chick this morning. So I got up early and I checked to see if she had already posted and she didn't. So that I said, yeah, I'm going to call her out today. So it's fun, especially when you have somebody that you're doing it with. So exercising doesn't have to be boring, but when you know the benefits of it, you absolutely are going to want to make it a lifestyle.
Yes, it's exciting to have you guys join us, and they're doing lives on it. I'll be looking on there like, oh, did they go live today? Did they go live today? Let me see if I can work up a sweat so I can go live on it. So it's in fact something that we really encourage everybody to be. But you guys, we want to come together and talk about a little bit about encouragement before we go to the break. And I want to tell you something that I thought about when we were talking earlier this week. And even when the judge was on yesterday, he had such a sense of encouragement to the race, such a sense of encouragement to everybody can do something in the community, such a sense of encouragement.
Right.
You know, that's the big encouragement. And then you have the personal encouragement where it's the one-on-one, but encouragement is big. But what I loved about the research that I did on encouragement was the science behind it. We always talk about the positive attitude, but scientists have proved that negative encouragement is not more powerful than positive encouragement. And you know, a lot of people, it's interesting, they even said coaches do more negative encouragement than others. Now, we happen to know a really famous coach here in Kenny Monday, so I don't know that could be true. But the research says that a lot of people will use negative encouragement versus positive encouragement to move things. But the science is out. It does not move the needle nowhere near as much. So positive is very big. It's very big. There's a lot of psychological reasons to have it. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask the girlfriends to think about an example of someone or somebody that had made a difference in their lives that caused them encouragement. Well, I'll talk a little bit about this. The power of encouragement is in the knowledge that somebody believes in you. So I want to say that when the research said is that when people believe that other people believe in them, they improve their behavior. They improve their expectation and they improve their results. And the same is true that toxic people can take power from people. And so the most important thing you can do is move away from toxic people, because toxic people will definitely suck your energy and pull you down. So when Crisette always says, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You can go into the top 5 friends you know the most, or the people that you hang around the most, because they said some friends and some family members you can move away from. Some friends, some family members you cannot move away from, but you got to evaluate what they are. Let's write this one down. The thing is that encouragement is a character trait. Someone said, is it just something that you have or not? But it's a character trait. So we know in this group, we have some of the best encouragers that I know for sure. But we're going to come back and talk about exactly how that has made a difference in our lives, and also how you can make a difference in other people's lives by increasing your encouragement. You're listening to We Got Issues. We Got Issues. That's the name of it. 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. And we'll be right back. Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. And we're so excited because life is what you make it. And so we're talking about encouragement and enabling. And so many things can happen in someone's life because of the way you are. Okay, so let's talk about this. The gift of encouragement is not only to the person who's receiving it, but it's very important to the person who's giving it. So how does that work? When you are someone who gives encouragement, it can physically and financially change you. Physically and financially change you, because number one, when you give encouragement, it contributes to your positive attitude, and a positive attitude directly attributes to your health. Really, really interesting. And it said that the psychological gains of it can also help you, and particularly if you're very, this is interesting, particularly if you're very encouraging in the field of sales and fundraising. Deep, right? Deep. Okay, because people who have a greater attitude, people gravitate to them. And when you gravitate to them and you can bring people to you because of your encouragement, it increases your gains and your experience. It says that one of the things I loved about it was the intelligence to improve the intelligence to be improved is stronger than the knowledge to stay in a fixed state. So someone who wants to be encouraged or someone who is an encourager ends up changing. So we're going to go to the girlfriends and ask them, somebody to tell. Katrina, was your hand up? Somebody to tell a story. I
Yeah. have a question. When you were talking about toxic people, and this is a question for any of the girlfriends. Do you think someone who is toxic, I mean, I know we are hopeful and optimistic and we really believe everybody can change, but typically, can toxic people stay toxic? Can toxic people become untoxic? You know, because once you know, if you have water and it's toxic, it's like, it's very difficult to untoxic the water. What's the
You know what, Caterina? I think you can. I mean, that's the whole basis of Christianity, is that, you know, people who are down at, I don't want to say down and out, but people who find themselves, you know, with a bad attitude or whatever, they can find redemption. So I think there are people that will stay toxic because they don't think there's anything wrong with it. It is who I am. If you don't accept it, it's just too bad. But I'm sure there are people who, and I've met people who, you see them, you're like, wow, they have totally changed. And you may know people that you're like, she or he is not the same.
I don't know
person.
nobody like that.
I do. I know people that I do, and I do know people who have done a complete 180 degrees from being the person that you didn't want to be around to. You're like, you know what? They're really pleasant. And sometimes it's because they went and they got help. Sometimes people need to get help to work them through their issues. And that's why a lot of times they are toxic, because they have not worked through their personal issues. So I think people can change.
Okay. Sabrina's like, now. But I like the controversy. You know what? I'm gonna tell y'all, okay, we have to start being okay with controversy, okay? Because we're just so dang on polite when you don't agree. But here's the thing. Yesterday, we saw the judge go from toxic to not toxic. That's what I saw yesterday. Now, I'm not saying it's everything, but I also believe that there's some narcissistic people that they don't even know there's an issue, and they stay that way forever.
Well, they got to be touched. Like Crisette said, with Christianity, they got to be touched by the Lord, okay? If they ain't touched by the Lord, they're going to stay stink. They're going to stay they stink self, okay? So they do need to be touched, and they have to recognize that they need to be touched. Otherwise, we're going to get what we've been getting, okay? That's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's possible, but most of them stay that way because they choose to. They like being crazy. And
you know what? And you know, we need, I'm going to ask if there's anyone listening and you know you are a toxic person and now you are not toxic. Will you please call We Got Issues at 313-778-0000 and let them know that there is absolutely hope for toxic people to change their ways. So give us a call and let us know if you were able to change your ways. Okay.
Let's talk about the girlfriends on this show.
Johnny Depp thing. I didn't watch the whole Johnny Depp. I don't even know her name. I just know the kind of a little bit of the storyline. But that interview she did with Guthrie or whoever it was, she talked about how toxic that relationship was, and she said that relationship caused her to behave different from who she really is. Now, I don't know her. Maybe that's who she really is.
But that's a big thing. That's a big thing, that when you're around toxic people, they can cause you to become toxic, and they can pull out of you stuff that you would have never brought out otherwise. I was in a domestic violence situation, and I tell you, I never fought. I never had a fight with anybody ever. Physical fight, I never scrabbled. If they got mad, they were like, "Come on, girl." I was like, "Oh no, I'm not the one. I don't fight. Let's kiss and make up." I'm not fighting. Okay, never, not even close. None of that stuff until I got in that marriage. Until he pushed me up against the wall. Tell me, push me into the corner, and then when he pushed me into the corner, that my only choice in my mind was to go low when he went low, because I was gonna not be in a good place otherwise. So I know that feeling. It's a very horrible feeling, but that's a really good question. You know, it's a really good question.
So, Gloria, you talked about encouragement. I really was intrigued by the question. when you there's a difference between encouraging and enabling, right?
Right,
I
right,
would love to talk about that because it made me ponder. Like, I'm in sales. I do a lot of coaching for a living.
right.
We encourage our family members, but then when is it? There's a fine line between encouraging and enabling. So I really
Right.
want to spend some time talking about that. Since you brought it up, what are your thoughts, Gloria? There.
Well, this is a very good question because I did some research about that particular question exactly. And I want to tell you, how do you find out if you're an enabler? So here's some questions that you get to ask yourself to find out if you're an enabler. Do you find yourself making excuses for someone else? Like, oh, he's just sick today, or she meant to turn it in, but she was just so busy, or she's just blowing off some steam. It's very interesting when you find yourself making excuses for a person one time and then making excuses for that person over and over and over again. And you guys, when I heard that question, I thought of somebody that I had enabled by, and you don't figure it out for a minute until they're gone.
Right.
So that, you know, that's a big one. Do you regularly put your own needs second place because someone else needs your attention? So if you're always putting yourself behind someone else's demanding attention, then you're enabling because you're not saying to yourself that what you think and what you're doing is important. You know how we talked about the rules the other day and we talked about our relationships. We understand their rules. They understand our rules. You don't put yourself down, nor do you hang around people who ask you to put yourself down in order for you to go up. It says, do you have a feeling that the behavior you are seeing is unhealthy or irresponsible? Now, that was a big one. When you see somebody doing something that it's like, you know how sometimes you're in meetings and you see people who are inappropriately talking, they're being rude, they're talking over the speaker, they're just doing some rude thing, and you see it. And after a while, I used to say to myself all the time, that's attention-seeking behavior. They have attention-seeking behavior. And depending on what I do. And then it says, you're an enabler if you lie for someone else or if you just lie. Have you lied for someone else? Will tell you if you're an enabler. So those are some of the questions you can ask yourself. But I also understand what you're saying, Sabrina. We can open up to the girlfriends. When you're talking to people, it's a fine line from knowing, am I helping you or am I stopping you from discovering what it is that you discover on your own? Because if you do it on your own, you'll be better.
And like, if you don't address the issue, you just kind of skirt over it, skirt around it, not really address it. It's an issue, but it's like, I'm not going to bring it up. I don't want to upset anybody. And you still encourage it. I see you. Good job. Well, no, that's not a good job. Right. You can't, at some point, you've got to make a determination in what you're saying and doing with another person. And so that it's a fine line, though. It is a fine line because we want to be encouraging. We want to be uplifting. We want to be positive. But in the real big scheme of life, you will do that person a disservice if you don't call it what it is. Call it what it is.
Right. You guys, when we come back, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Chuck gave me this this quote that says, sometimes saying yes to others is saying no to yourself. Sometimes saying yes to others is saying no to yourself. And so you have to, be careful that you don't find yourself in a place where you're feeling, depressed and down because you're taking on, what other people are doing. So sometimes you do have to choose yourself.
You guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about when someone believed in you and it made a major difference for you. Because we've turned out to be such strong encouragers, I'd like to hear who encouraged you at a pivotal time in your life and how did they go about doing it. You guys, if you're listening to We Got Issues, we want you to call in and tell us about someone who made a difference for you, someone who leaned in, saw you, heard you, felt you, and made a difference with the words, with their actions, with their gifts to you that encourage you to go in a direction that may have shifted your journey. I'm so excited to have you on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF out of Detroit. This is We Got Issues, and we'll be right back. Yes. Oh my goodness. Y'all, seriously. This hour just rolls. Michael, you're doing an awesome job. You're doing an awesome job lifting up our energy, just applauding just because we're here. We're so excited for this part. You guys, we're talking about encouraging. We're talking about how to lift up people. And there's some rules. There's some rules that you get to do. Let me just give you 5 things not to do. 5 things not to do if you think you'd like to encourage someone. Number 1, don't give unsolicited advice. How many of us have gotten unsolicited advice and looked at the person and absorbed it because that's good people skills to go like this? But you didn't ask them for advice. And so even if it was good advice, you couldn't hear it because you didn't ask them for their advice. Okay. Number 2, say you know exactly how they feel. Like, don't say to them, I know exactly how you feel. That's not a good idea. That's not what they're coming to you to do. They want you to listen to them. They want you to walk it through. But saying that you know exactly, you can say, I can understand how you feel. You can say, I'm close to that, but you should never say, I know exactly. Number 3, don't make it about you. So many times we hear somebody calling for encouragement. The next thing you know, we're telling them the stories about us, right? And it's a problem. It's a problem. Don't make it about you. And this is another one. This is so interesting. Don't talk about exact amounts of anything. Isn't that interesting? Don't talk about exact amounts of anything because it immediately puts you into comparison mode. So if you talk like, I want to wear a size 8 and I'm a size 10, they said, don't say that. Don't say about money. Don't say about anything that's measurable. I got there in an hour. How quickly did you get there? Nothing that has to do that they can immediately measure them. And then number 5 is don't tell them what to do. Don't tell anybody what to do. If you just don't tell them what to do. Okay, 5 things. Those are 5 things not to do. Okay, so today is Sabrina's mother's birthday. Today is her
heavenly birthday. My mother's heavenly birthday.
Her
yes.
heavenly
June
birthday.
15th.
Yes.
June 15th. Yes.
And I'm going to ask Sabrina to talk a little bit about her as an encouragement because I remember the moment I met her. I remember when she stepped on the scene and she said, I teach my family not to do, but to outdo. And I'm telling you, she walked in that room with that outfit on and those shoes on. I was like, oh my goodness, this is your mama? For real, it was awesome. So tell us all about her. Happy birthday, heavenly birthday.
Yeah, for sure. You think about people who have encouraged you along the way. I always say, even to this day, she's the most positive person I've ever met in my life. And I mean, the way she would lift you up and empower you and celebrate you and enunciate the words. I mean, I would want to come home with my report card to hear her say, I'm so proud of you, Sabrina. I mean, really. It's just, and then when I started having kids and they were little and they get a certificate at pre-K, she would call them on the phone and just give them so much affirmation through the telephone when we lived long distance. And so I would always say, if I could just be a third of the mother that my mother was in terms of encouragement, positivity, lifting others up, it just really is a gift. It really is a gift. And you have to pay attention to that. And so shout out to my mother, heavenly birthday, Alquita. I know she's up there shining down, looking down on us. Proud. She would always say how proud she was of each of us. You remember she would come to seminar. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She poured it on. She taught all of it. I mean, we're really fortunate to have seen people pour on us. Our observation. We can honestly say she was one of those that we all copied from in one way, form, or another. It's always nice to see the mothers, be a whole part of that. The sisterhoods that we've had, that we've seen our sisters be so encouraging. It's always been a big piece. Who wants to talk about another example of an encourager and why they were so, I'm going to take from that, Sabrina, not only did she do it all the time, but she enunciated those words. And that's what you took away. The feeling, she had a secret identity to the way that she affirmed and encouraged people that made such a difference. Her pronunciation was good. And she was bright. She had a bright smile. And she put that red lipstick on, just like you got on right now. I remember dark skin, red lipstick, white teeth. For real. She was something else. Who else has a story? About somebody who made a difference for you?
I would say my daddy, he would just always say, Caterina, you the greatest, you could do it. It's a piece of cake. I mean, I remember coming down the stairs and he would act like I was, I talked about my pageant days. And I remember coming down the stairs and it was time for the pageant. He's like, walk like you're going to walk on the stage. Yay. I mean, he would just be like, show what you're working with. Let me hear your speech. How you doing? But he also would tell you when you messed up too. So he would also cut you and sew you back up. But he was always just encouraging. You great. You can do it. And I know a lot of people have not had a mama and a daddy to say those words. My mother is always an encourager. And so our heart really goes out to people that haven't had that, because all of us have been fortunate to have that in our parents, both of our parents. Right. So that's
Caterina, when you think about your dad, what signature, what spin did he put on it that makes you remember it the most?
I remember being homecoming queen at my college, and at my high school. And as I told you, I was one of the only Black people there. And it was interesting because we'd come in my dad's Pantera sports car, and people were like, who are you? What is going on? And he would just always, he would encourage, but his spin was encouraging, but he always wanted to remind me who I was. He didn't want you to get a big head. He didn't want you to get a big head,
Right.
but he
That's
wanted you
right.
to understand as a Black person,
Right.
you hold your space.
That's
You
right.
hold your space. But he would then turn around in the private moments and say, "Now don't get a big head about it, because the world is gonna remind you who you ain't." Okay, so he
Yeah.
gave it both ends, and I think it really contributed to a balance.
Yeah.
It's just there's no book for that, so I don't know where that came from, how that came from, because he was raised without a mama. And his dad wasn't in his life the entire time. So sometimes I know some people get that because of the example they didn't have.
Right.
He had a foster mom. And
Interesting. Interesting.
And yet he
Interesting.
was,
So that breaks that myth that you have to see it to be it, right?
Right.
Because he didn't have that. And I was thinking that was important. Gloria, you're the best at this. All of us are better because of what you poured into our lives. Seriously. Nobody does it better than you. How do you do it so well?
I was going to say nobody does it better than you guys. Seriously. I just know I got it from my mother too. I mean, this is such a parent show. I got so much of it from my mother. Honestly, I'll get off the phone and Kim will say, "Nah, that ain't as good as Gwen, but you getting there, girl. You getting there." If you give it 5 more seconds, boy, it would have been at the Gwen barometer. But she truly was one who let you know exactly how good it is. Before we run out of time, Chris, I want you to tell a little bit about about who has encouraged you, because you're in a position where you have to do a lot of encouraging as well.
Right. And you know what? I would say my mother was a big encourager, but I also want to give a shout out to other people who encourage us along the way. I would say in my life, I've had a lot of teachers that would encourage, and, they would tell me, you're smart, you can become anything, you can do anything. And I just think in those formative years with your parents absolutely encouraging you, I also know the power of teachers, because when you think about it, at your formative years, your teachers sometimes spend more time with you than your parents do. And so they can either encourage you, or they can discourage you by saying what you are not and what you cannot do. So I think, I want to give a shout out to all of the teachers on a daily basis that are in the school, pumping up children, telling them that they can dream big, they can do big, and they can become anything that they want to be. So I think I want to give them a shout out, because
Let's give a shout out to the teachers. Absolutely. The teachers, they spend so much time, and the teachers are the ones that stop people from having issues. But for those of you who do have issues, you can be right here tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we bring you back. We got issues, and we're so thankful that the teachers have erased many of the issues, because we'd be a hot mess without it. Here's the force of friendship. We're so excited to be with you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye. Peace out.
Tomorrow we have a famous photographer from Hawaii, and we are going to talk with her. So it'll be fabulous.
We're going to have a
little bit more about Hawaii.
Hawaii photography and personality, entrepreneurship. It's going to be a great show. See you guys tomorrow.
Yes.
Peace out.